Sarah, no last name, just the girl who writes Seabrook secrets in the margins of her notebooks, sits at Harlan's kitchen table at 5:47 a.m., hoodie slipping off one shoulder, bare feet tucked under her on the wooden chair that's always been too tall for her, the one with the wobble he promised to fix last summer but never did. The sky outside the window is just starting to blush pink, the kind of soft color that makes everything feel possible. Like the world is holding its breath for the next line. The house is quiet except for the low hum of the old fridge with the dent in the door from the time I slammed it too hard at 15. The tick of the wall clock he wound last week with the same careful twist he uses on everything. The faint drip of the coffee maker finishing its last gurgle, and the soft rustle of the birthday banner, still taped crookedly above the doorway, like it followed me here. Fairy lights from last night's party trail across the counter like sleepy fireflies that forgot to go home, casting amber flecks on the scarred oak table, the sage-green walls that seem to lean in and listen. The half-open sketchbook I brought with me, still showing the quick doodle of his hands at 3 a.m. when I couldn't sleep, the pencil smudged from where I pressed too hard, the page curled at the corner from the humidity of my breath. You guys will never believe what happened. I'm Sarah, freshly 18 as of yesterday, and this is happening right now, 5:47 a.m. on a Tuesday that feels like the first page of something new, something dangerous, something I've been writing in the margins for years. The coffee is still scalding, the fairy lights are still glowing. The echo of his truck hasn't even pulled in yet. The sketchbook page is still open to his hands. The banner is still crooked, and the faint scent of cedar and dawn is already curling through the cracked window, like a promise I'm finally brave enough to keep. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, drop a comment if you've ever waited in someone's kitchen and meant stay. Let's go. I got here at 5:12. Used the spare key he gave me last spring when I locked myself out sketching on his porch at midnight. The one he pressed into my palm with a quiet just in case that felt like more. The house was dark, quiet, familiar in the way only places you've memorized can be. The creak of the third step. The way the hallway light flickers if you don't jiggle the switch just right. The faint scent of pine from the greenhouse he built out back. I didn't turn on the big light. Just the one over the stove, soft and gold, the one that makes the chipped blue mug look almost whole. I made coffee the way he likes it, black, 2 sugars, the same way he taught me when I was 16 and pretending I hated the taste. I poured it into his mug, the one with the tiny crack near the handle that he refuses to replace because it still holds. Wrapped my hands around it like it could keep me steady, like it could keep the words from spilling out too soon. I sat. I waited. I counted the drips in the sink, the blinks of the fairy lights, the beats of my own heart that sounded too loud in the silence, the number of times I almost left and came back. The front door sighs open at 5:49. Harlan steps in, salt and pepper hair tousled from the wind, flannel dark at the shoulders from early morning dew, green eyes still carrying the weight of whatever job ran late, a faint smear of sawdust on one sleeve. A tiny scar near his thumb catching the fairy light glow. He freezes in the doorway when he sees me. Mug, bare legs, hoodie sliding lower, fairy lights blinking like they're in on the secret, the sketchbook open to his hands, the birthday tiara I forgot to take off, still tangled in my hair, like a crown I'm not ready to surrender. "What are you doing up this early?" he asks softly, voice gravel and sunrise, low enough that it rumbles in my ribs and settles warm in my stomach. I look up, smile in a way the sky outside could never compete with. "I just turned 18, I say. Thought, maybe today we could actually talk." He shuts the door. The click is quiet but final. He doesn't move right away, just looks, really looks, like he's trying to decide if I'm a dream or a mistake. I feel it everywhere, the hoodie slipping lower, the cool air kissing my collarbone, the way his gaze snags there for half a heartbeat, before snapping back to my eyes, lingering on the paint smudge on my wrist, on the tiara like it's a dare, on the way the flannel knots at my waist like it's holding everything together. He toes off his boots by the mat, slow, deliberate, socks silent on the tile, the faint scent of last night's sawdust still clinging to the cuffs. "You didn't have to wait," he murmurs. "I know," I whisper, "but I wanted to." The tension coils, quiet, electric. He crosses the room, pulls out the chair across from me, sits. The table creaks under his elbows, the same creak it made when he taught me how to sand the porch step last spring. He wraps his hands around the mug I push toward him, our fingers brush. Static. He sits, eyes closing like the first taste is forgiveness. Steam curls between us, fogging the air like breath on a cold window, like the way the porch lights used to blur when I cried into his handkerchief. I watch his throat work, watch the day's weight settle on his shoulders, one slow degree lighter. Watch the tiny scar on his thumb catch the fairy-like glow. Watch the way his lashes cast shadows on his cheeks. "Good?" I ask. "Perfect," he says. And the word lands heavier than coffee, lands right in my chest, warm and spreading, like it's rewriting the morning, like it's rewriting the last 2 years of porch steps and handkerchiefs and unsent sketches. I wrap both hands around my own mug, empty now, just for show, the ceramic still warm from where his hands were. He notices, of course he does, and his free hand lifts, thumb brushing a stray strand of hair from my cheek, slow, deliberate, like he's painting the moment into memory, like he's tracing the outline of a secret, like he's counting the freckles I didn't know I had. "You're shaking," he murmurs. "Cold," I lie. He stands, shrugs off his jacket, drapes it over my shoulders. Denim on bare skin. Heat. His hand stays at my waist, warm, grounding, like he's checking my pulse to make sure I'm real. The jacket smells like him. Cedar, coffee, faint sawdust, pine from the greenhouse. The faint trace of rain from the night he stayed on the porch. And it's too big, sleeves swallowing my hands, hem brushing my thighs. The inside pocket still holding the handkerchief he gave me last week, with the tiny embroidered S in the corner. Outside, the sky turns from pink to gold, the first real light of day spilling across the table, catching the dust motes like tiny stars. Inside, the only sound is our breathing and the soft clink when he sets his mug down, half empty. "You should be asleep," he says. "Couldn't," I answer. "Kept thinking you'd come home tired." His mouth curves. Not quite a smile, more like a secret. "And if I hadn't? I'd have drunk both cups and blamed you at breakfast, then sketched you drinking tea in your truck for revenge." That earns a real laugh, low and surprised, the kind that rumbles in his chest and vibrates through the table into my elbows, the kind that makes the fairy lights blink faster like they're excited. He leans back, studying me like I'm a story he hasn't finished reading. Like he's reading the margins where I wrote his name in invisible ink. 18 looks good on you. Heat floods my cheeks. Flattery won't get you a refill. Wasn't aiming for the coffee. The air thickens, sweet and electric. I stand, slow, deliberate, and circle the table. He doesn't move, just tracks me with those storm green eyes. When I stop beside his chair, close enough that my knee brushes his thigh, he tilts his head up. "Sarah," he says, my name careful, like it might bruise. "I'm not a kid anymore," I whisper. I noticed. I reach out, fingertips grazing the stubble along his jaw. He catches my wrist, not to stop me, just to hold, thumb pressing the frantic pulse there. His skin is warm, coffee warm, dawn warm. "You should go back to bed," he says, but his grip tightens, contradicting every syllable. "Only if you come with me," I answer, bold and breathless. His eyes darken. "That's a dangerous offer." "I like danger." For a moment, we're statues. Then he stands, slow, deliberate, until we're chest to chest, the table at my back, his hands sliding to my waist, like they've mapped this territory in dreams. The hoodie slips lower. His thumb traces the bare skin it reveals, slow, reverent, like he's reading Braille. Like he's reading the story I wrote in the margins. Talk, he murmurs against my temple. What did you want to say? I swallow. That I've been waiting, not just this morning, for years, for this, for you to see me. Not the kid who needed her porch fixed. Not the girl who cried into your handkerchief at 16. Me. Now. He exhales, shaky. Sarah. I know, I whisper. I know it's complicated. I know you're older. I know you fixed my porch step and taught me how to hold a hammer and let me cry into your handkerchief when I was 16. But I'm not 16 anymore. And I'm tired of pretending I don't want this. I'm tired of sketching your hands and pretending it's just art. Silence. Then, he kisses me. Not quick, not soft. Slow, deliberate, like he's been holding it back since the first time I sketched his hands, since the first time I cried into his handkerchief, since the first time he handed me a hammer and said, steady. My hands fist in his flannel. His palms cup my face, thumbs tracing my cheekbones, tracing the line where tears used to be. The mugs clink together on the table, forgotten. Outside, the sun crests the horizon, painting the kitchen gold, catching the fairy lights like they're applauding. Inside, we don't move. He pulls back just enough to breathe, forehead still against mine. You should have stayed in bed. I'm exactly where I want to be, I answer. Where I've always wanted to be. Sarah winks at the camera. Phone propped on the counter, red light blinking, battery at 9%. And that's how waiting in his kitchen became everything. Seabrook's got a way of making sunrises spark, doesn't it? Like, subscribe, ring the bell, comment your boldest sunrise move. Just turned 18 just sat at his table and changed the story.